Hunter couldn't hide his frustration at the woman standing in his office. "What are you doing here?" Miss Kendler stepped toward him, ignoring his bad mood, and held out the envelope. "I brought the pictures. I thought you might want to see them before things proceed." Her superior attitude irritated him. That, coupled with the fact that she'd showed up to his office even after he'd specifically told her not to, it made his mood rather foul. "I'm paying you good money, so I might as well see what I'm getting out of this." He held his hand out. She placed the envelope in his hand. "I think you'll see the pictures are as we agreed." He'd be the judge of that. Trying to surprise Gretchen for their wedding was trickier than he'd anticipated, mostly because, well, he planned big. He'd tried to think of the perfect gift to give her, and one concept had come to mind: a replica of Ina Garten's Barefoot Contessa kitchen. She loved cooking shows and loved baking for the recipe book she was working on, but it kept them apart during the daytime. So he wanted a new kitchen for her in Buchanan Manor, upstairs, next to his office, so he could be near her all day long, instead of a floor and half the manor apart, so he could walk next door and kiss his wife if he wanted to. And, because he liked spoiling her, he might have gone overboard and requested the same kitchen for the private island he'd purchased her as a second wedding gift. The money wasn't the problem. The contractors he was working with, they were a fucking pain in the ass. For one, they weren't on time with anything. For two, they were terrible at keeping things under wraps. He'd wanted it to be a surprise for Gretchen, but so far he'd had to make up an excuse about water damage to keep her out of that wing of the house, and now the interior designer was showing up here at his office? He'd have fired her fucking ass, except for the fact that they were a week away from completion. Theoretically. That was, providing the cruise she'd sworn would be done last month would, in fact, be done by Christmas. He didn't believe Ms. Kendler, but he didn't have a choice at this point. It was too late to hire anyone else. So he pulled out the pictures and began to flip through them. He could watch the progress of the work on his house, but for the island, he was having to rely upon pictures. And since the woman seemed to constantly have trouble with her email, she kept showing up to his office. He'd have thought she was fishing for attention if it weren't for the fact that he'd told her quite specifically that the specialized kitchens were for his fiancé, and the fact that he wasn't much to look at. But still, sometimes he wondered. "And the price?" "A bit higher than we thought, but it's going to be necessary if we're going to make things happen." He grunted. "Why am I not surprised?" Contractors. This was the fourth time she'd raised the estimated price on him. "Just get it taken care of, and never come to my office again. I don't want my fiancé to get suspicious. I don't want her to know about this." Ms. Kendler gave him a sweet smile. "Of course not. Shall we move forward with the deal?" "Do I have a choice?"